This podcast contains explicit language and themes of an adult nature. If you are easily offended, I suggest you and go and listen to another podcast. Okay, we're live. Welcome to the BANTS and Deck podcast, episode 1. I'm your host, DJ Raker. It's exactly a month today since we've been out of lockdown, so life's good, clubs are open, we're outside. So I thought there's no better time to launch the podcast than now. Been thinking about doing a podcast for years. Anyone that's seen my Instagram stories know that I see some crazy, funny stuff when I'm in and out of the club. So I thought, you know what, it's a good time to launch this podcast. So the BANTS and Deck podcast, it's going to be about banter and decks, as it says on the tin. So a lot of banter with other DJs, musicians, artists, MCs, whatever, people to do with the music scene, because we see a lot of funny stuff outside of the club. So you'll just see us on the decks DJing, but you don't know a lot of funny stuff happens. So I'm going to bring that to this podcast. A full episode 1, I just started with me. So as you see, I'm at home. Anyone that's watching on YouTube, if you're listening online, then you can't see. But I'm just at home today. I thought I'll give you a little background on myself, how I got into DJing, touring with gigs around Europe and touring with Fekky around the world, Ayia Napa stories and things like that. Just a little introduction on the episode 1. We'll keep it quick and short and quick. So, yeah, about me, we'll go to the backstory before I get into the story of me DJing. I used to MC and produce in Grams, so we have to set this straight before I get into the backstory of my DJ career. So 2009, I was rolling with my bro Dubplate Mex. I had a few songs on radio and all of that, but as a producer or artist, you would know that you want all your songs played on radio back to back to back. So I had virtual DJ on my PC, so I was like, you know what, I'm going to mix them myself just to hear how they sound back to back to back. So I done it, and I was like, this sounds hard. This is like I could be a gram DJ, so I knew I had the knack for mixing. So at the time, Mex was making mix CDs, R&B, then a grime one, a bashment one, a funky one, like different genres. But I said to him, can you make me a CD with everything on one so that I don't have to keep taking it out of the CD player in the car? So he kept longing me off, which now I know as a DJ, he thought, oh, that's all long for me. Just take the CDs I've got at the moment. So in the end, I ended up doing it myself. I had a few songs from CDs from Vauxhall Market. Big up the Vauxhall Market crew. I had some songs, so I ended up mixing it on virtual DJ myself. And I was listening back in my car, and I was like, is it me, or is this as hard as what I hear in the clubs and that? Like, so I gave it to a few of my friends and family, and I was playing it on the minibus for football. I used to play football, so all the football team was like, this is hard, give me a copy. So I started saying that, yeah, I'm a DJ, and everyone's kind of laughing about it, like shrugging it off, but ended up getting mad demand for it, like burning up hundreds, where everyone's on me for part 2 now. They've rinsed it out. So I done part 2, and that was it. Like it was going crazy for it. So I started going outside clubs at like 2 in the morning. I used to play Call of Duty with the man them. Then I'll be on the headset like, yo, man them, I'm gone, you know. And they're like, what, you're crazy, you're gonna go outside clubs now? And I'm like, yeah, I'll catch all the clubs. I know that on Facebook, this club finishes at 3, this one finished at 2, that one finished at 4, and I'll just jump clubs and stand next to the flyer guys and give out CDs, and everyone was swamped to me because at that time no one was doing CDs. So I saw the gap in the market. Here and there, 1 or 2 guys would have a CD, but most of them didn't. So everyone ran through the tunnel of death, as they call it, straight to me for CDs. So I started hearing my CDs everywhere. I'll be driving, sorry, my throat got dry. I'll be driving and I hear DJ Raker. I'm like, wow, I'm making an impact. So that year, Mex was going out to Ayia Napa in the summer. So I said, yeah, I'm going to come with you. So I burnt up 500 of that CD, volume 2. And I got print up on it. I printed on it. I took it serious. Went out to Ayia Napa. I gave out loads of copies. So I reached up north and down south and everywhere, all across the UK. Yeah, so out there, I met Mr. Sui via Mex, and he owns On Top Radio. So I said, yeah, I'd like to get a set. And he said, you know what, at the moment we haven't got no space, but we're making a sister station, so I'll get your details and I'll holler at you. And he didn't end up hollering, so I was like, oh, I want to be on Top, the main station anyway. So I got back to London. I was doing the same thing, giving out CDs, working, as I said, just putting on the grind. Ended up getting city bookings. One just led to another. It's a long story, but I got one, then a promoter come to that club, booked me for another, and then I was in the city. During that time, Sui's hollered at me and gone, I got a space for you on top. So I'm like, great. So that coincided. So it just started looking big, where I'm like, I've just jumped in this for a joke at the time. So skip fast forward, ended up being on top, getting the bookings. Then I played at Fridge Bar via Mr. Minus. Then Milk Tray called me and he was like, would you play at South Beach? And I was like, what do you mean? Like, in my head, I'm thinking, what does he mean, would you play at South Beach? Like, it's a booking in it, but I think now I was looking like I'm some top city DJ. Little did they know I've been in the game for like 6 months, if that. So I took the booking, done well, played a few other times at South Beach for other bookings, also at Fridge. During that, Ralph said to me, do you want to come to be a resident at Fridge? So I've took that Fridge residency, was there for months, juggling around, used to play at Mint Bar as well. And ended up, Fridge started getting a bit slow. So one week, Ralph said, listen, if it's as slow as it was this week, like there was like 5 people, he said, if next week's like this week, I'm going to end the night. So next week was as slow, if not worse. Well, it couldn't be worse than 5 people, but yeah, it was just as bad. So I thought, it's over, man. No residency in Brixton now. So Benz called me on the Wednesday. This was Saturday that happened. Benz called me on the Wednesday and said, do you want to be resident at South Beach? So I've gone, perfect. Now I've lost one, got another. So I was playing there for a few months with tag team and mix masters, and we set it off, and then he changed it to £1 drinks on a Friday. And that's when that place went crazy. I'll bring on some DJs and we'll talk about some stories about South Beach. But I'll tell you, one time when we finished up, we found knickers in the toilet. There was like a unisex toilet downstairs, anyone that remembers that. And there was just a pair of French knickers left inside there. So what happened, God knows. But that was a crazy place, man. So, yeah. After that, I built up a good reputation. I was in the circle within a short amount of time. So from there, I went on to Ayia Napa. So let's get to the Ayia Napa story, how I got into Ayia Napa. So 2014, I was doing my thing. And Ralph, the manager of Fridge Bars, gave me a call. And he said that he's going to be doing a weekly event in Ayia Napa. And he wants me to fly out on a Thursday, DJ on a Friday, and come back Saturday. So I'm like, sick, like things can't get any better. It's going to be a lit summer. So closer to the time, he said, after a night at Fridge, he said to me, it's fallen through. Because if you want, you can still go over there. The club owner's my mate, so you can still go and DJ there, but I'm just not involved in the night. So I'm chewing it over. I'm thinking it could be a good look, network. And I know there's other clubs like Black and White, Club Ice, Abyss. They're big. I could try and get in there. So I'm like, you know what? Fuck it, I'm going to go. So I've booked the ticket. I've booked a one-way ticket, but 2 weeks in a hotel. A few weeks before I'm going, I went to the O2 Arena with Dubplate Mex. It was So Solid versus Heartless clash. It was epic as well, but that's another story. I've seen Mega, man. I know Mega, so I've said to him, right, I'm going to Ayia Napa. I know he's got ties with Black and White and Ice. So I've said, if I need a reference, can I like call your name basically, like if they want to G-check me? And he's like, yeah, that's cool, no worries. So I'm like, that's even better. Definitely confident when I go out there. So I've landed into Ayia Napa, played at that other bar, wasn't all that, it was way down the strip, so it was a small bar. I ended up networking with DJs, went to Club Black and White. I've said, I'm looking for Sniper, big up my bro Sniper. I said Sniper or George, because I knew he was the big man. I didn't know who else to ask for. So there was a guy that I kept speaking to who later become Finos, Uncle Finos. He kept saying, Sniper's not here, like, what do you want? And I'm saying, I want a DJ set. Like, I'm hard, I'm selling myself. I'm like, you can ask Mega if you want. So they just kept longing me off every night. So during that time, I'm mingling with other DJs, got a little booking, big up DJ Kinders. I ended up playing at a bar through his dad's friend. Anyone that goes to Ayia Napa and's rented from Easy Riders Rentals, your quad or moped, yeah, you'll know about Andreas, the guy with the long hair, long ponytail. So he had a bar called Aruba. So it wasn't all that. It weren't all that. It was a nice bar, but it was way down the strip before the biggest clubs. So it's an in and out bar. People will come in, have a few drinks, go. So I've DJed for a few nights in a row. Like maybe first night, played what I wanted. Second night, Kinders has come and said, oh, he's saying, could you play a bit of Calvin Harris and a few other, Bruno Mars and things like that, which is not me. So I've mixed it in here and there. Next night, same thing. I can see him moaning in Greek. Like, so basically, I knew he was complaining, saying people ain't staying in there. But I knew it's the style of music. Let me build up a fan base, because people come on holiday for a week. If they keep coming every night hearing good music, if they hear me play 10 bangers and then a Calvin Harris, they want to go. So in the end, that didn't work out, which is funny. That's a bit of BANTS still. But you live and you learn. Well, not even you live and you learn, just some things aren't for you. So I kept going to Black and White and to the Water World to find Sniper, because the family run the Water World. They were longing me off. In the end, I ended up getting a set. During that time, my cousins called me and said, I might come out and meet you. So I'm like, yeah, that would be great, because I'm by myself. Like, I'm literally just meeting people, mingling with DJs. But on a whole, in the daytime, I was one up. So I ended up getting a trial set just before my cousin landed. He said he's going to book a hotel for a week. And I was like, perfect. I've got a week left. So we'll see where this goes. If I don't get in with this club, I'm flying back with you. So he's landed just, I've done 2 bookings and I thought I'd done real good. I can't lie, but I'm a perfectionist. I'm like, maybe I didn't. And the manager's not coming up these times. Now I know him, Uncle Finos. I'm getting a relationship with him, but he hasn't told me I'm doing great. So third night I've said to him, like, how am I doing? And he's like, listen, you don't need to worry, you're doing great. So I'm like, wow, I'm in. So when my cousins landed, I'm happy, like, yeah, I'm gonna be staying now, I'm in and that, like. And we went and bought a bottle of vodka and we got waved. I hadn't done that yet, I had no one to do that with. So we got waved before we went to the Black and White for my booking, drank in Black and White, got home, woke up waved. So it's my cousin's first day, bearing in mind. He got there late night. So next morning, he said, yeah, I want to get a quad. And we woke up like 2:30. I'm like, by the time we get ready, cuz, go get the quad. It's going to be late. Just like, chill out, man. He's like, no. He's a restless person. No. I want to get it. So in the end, I'm like, come on then. Let's go and get the quad. So I've saddled him up to Easy Riders. We've got his quad. I'm like, this is what I'm doing, cuz. I'm showing you the main strip and how to get about, and then you're on your own. I need to go and rest. I'm hung. I haven't drunk like this yet. So he's gone, deal. So we've got the quad from Easy Riders. Anyone that knows Easy Riders, you go down the hill to the main strip, Nissy Avenue. So we've got down to Nissy Avenue, done a left towards McDonald's. So now McDonald's would be on your right. We've done the first left to go up to Napa Rocks Hotel, because I know there's pool parties there. So I've said, let me show him the pool party. As I've got right near Napa Rocks Hotel, policewoman's jumped out in the road, like, stop, pull over. So we both pulled over. I thought, we're all right. Like, I haven't got no contraband on me, as they like to call it, or no weed. We'll just say, haven't been drinking. It's daytime. We just got up. They've breathalyzed us. They've done my cousin first, and it's gone beep, 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 he's over. And I'm like, what? He's over? So I'm like, if he's over, I'm going to be over. Blew it. I was over too. It's get in the car, handcuffed us and everything. I'm like, oh no, I haven't been Napa like that yet to know what happens. So I'm thinking that is peak if you get arrested for drink driving. Turns out the limit is 0.3 milligrams, which is like a shot of brandy. So the amount of vodka we drank the night before hasn't come out our system. So we're nicked. We're in the back of the police car driving to the station. I knew by then the Menace family's got power. So I've gone, I'm a DJ. I work for the Menaces. And they've gone, I don't give a fuck who you work for. Like, the policeman just turned to me. So I'm like, we're written. So we got to the police station, got into the, they didn't put us in cells. They just had us in the waiting room. And then we ended up getting fines. And they said, if you don't pay it in 28 days or you try and get out the country, you'll be arrested. So my cousin's gone home, obviously, a week later, and he didn't get arrested. So, yeah, I won't say what I did or didn't do with that fine. And I'm not going to advise anyone to do it, because you might get arrested at the airport. But I skipped that one. So, yeah, that's how I got into Ayia Napa. From there, my cousin went home. I was playing in Black and White frequently, mashing it up, Club Ice, their big candy festivals, and winded up being on the bill for Chris Brown, which was crazy. So that ended up being a crazy summer. I was out there for 3 months, ended up being out there to the middle of August. And yeah, man, that's how I got into Ayia Napa. There's a hella crazy stories throughout that first season all the way through to the other 6 seasons I've done. But I'm going to leave that to when I bring on some of the DJs and MCs and artists that shared their moments, because there's some crazy stories from Ayia Napa. But speaking of Chris Brown, I thought I'd just give a little roster as well for anyone that don't know me on some of the artists that I've actually DJ'd for, or artists that I've supported, like warmed up, DJ'd in the event before they've come on. So artists that I've DJ'd for: Gigs, Fekky, AJ Tracy, H, Heady One, D Block Europe, Nath Smalls, Sneak Bowl, Swarms, Suspect, Section Boys, So Solid, AM Sniper, now called Ames, MC Bushkin, hella funky MCs as well, like Cold Steps, Risco, and yeah, bag of people. I couldn't even think of everyone. I just done a quick list, but they're the ones I've actually DJ'd for, and then warming up before these artists have come on. I've done 6ix9ine, Chris Brown, Ray Shermond, Memphis Bleak, Mist, Fredo, Russ, Tion Wayne, Dappy, Young Bane, Notes, Miss Dynamite, Gets, Wiley. I've actually DJ'd for Wiley as well, actually. DJ EZ, Aswad, which are big legendary like UK reggae, and Jimmy Cliff as well, like warmed up for Jimmy Cliff. That was like a classic moment for me as well, a big moment, because I got to bring my mum. Anyone that knows about Jimmy Cliff, if you don't, go and Google him. He's a legend. As soon as you put him in YouTube, you're going to go, oh, I know that song. But yeah, I got to bring my mum backstage and everything and make her meet Jimmy Cliff and a whole heap of reggae, UK, and from around the world artists. So that was like a proud moment, man. So yeah, on to like meeting Fekky. I become to DJ for Fekky. Then we'll get onto a couple of tour stories from gigs and we'll wrap it up because I don't want to make it too long. So during Ayia Napa, as I said, a lot of them artists I've DJ'd for, I've met in Ayia Napa. I used to have a good relationship with Fekky. So it started, we started meeting up back in London. Here and there I'll get a call from his management team saying, oh, the DJ can't make it. Like in Ayia Napa, I'd DJ for him in Ayia Napa when his DJs couldn't make it. So I'd start doing fill-in shows. Got to 2018 New Year, I think February or March, and his manager called me and he said, right, do you want to be his DJ full-time, for one, and then for two, we've got a booking in America in about 7 days. I didn't even have much time to pattern myself. So he was like, yeah, booking in the USA in 7 days' time. Same thing I said about like with Milk Tray, you just play it down like, yeah, cool, man. But I'm like, rah, that's a good look, you get what I'm saying? So got my passport ready, got to the airport before Fekky and his manager, so I'm calling them like, yeah, I'm at the desk, you know, should I check in? And they're like, no, wait for all of us so we can get a seat together. So I'm waiting. When I originally rang the area he said he was in, I'm thinking, the time you're going to get here is going to be mad, bro. So cut a long story short, he ended up getting to the gate like 10 minutes before gates closing, but it was a long walk through Heathrow. It's international flight to Texas. So we're running like, I love the woman, I wish I knew her name, but one of the flight attendant women or the people from the desk, she's took us through the security gate. She was like, if I don't take you the way the security go to get to the gates, you're not getting on that flight. But she was like, I know there's some other artists, you was going to some festival thing, because I didn't really research it. This was called the South by Southwest Festival, which is massive in America. So I didn't really know what we're getting into, or not we, like Fekky did, but I didn't know what I'm getting into. So got on the plane, see a couple of artists. I think we see like Western or someone like that. But when we got off the plane, there was just a bag of artists. I'm like, wow, I didn't know we was rolling like this. I thought it was a like single booking, just us lot. But it ended up being, where did I put the list? I know that AJ Tracy was there, Avellino, Wretch 32. Who else was there? Western, as I said. Oh, I think I've lost the list. Oh, yeah, Avellino. Chucky Online was there. Notes, did I say Notes? Hardy DiCaprio, you know. Hardy Caprio. Yeah, it was a good time, though, man. I'm going to have to think of some banter times, but I remember I took the work over serious that time. I was just taking it in serious, game face on, so it weren't jokey. But I remember going to my first ever strip club, like proper one. Like it's just a club, but there's just strippers everywhere. You're just throwing the ones on them. That was a good time. We went gun range as well. That was sick. Some sick food and all of that. You know, all the restaurants you see in the movies. Yeah, I want a Wendy's burger. Yeah, man went to Wendy's, you know, them ones. So that was a great time. As I said, some moments I've sat down and thought about in the lockdown. It's like, wow, this DJ stuff's took me a long way, man. It's great. That's great. But yeah, let's get on to the big one now then, the tour with gigs. Let me just sip this last bit of, there's not even no water left, Jesus. Lesson number 1 for the podcast: don't smoke a hella weed before you start recording, bro. But lesson learned. All right, so on to the tour with gigs, the Europe Flexing Tour. We went to hella countries throughout Europe. We went to France, Paris, that was, Belgium, Amsterdam, 4 cities in Germany, which was Frankfurt, Hamburg, Munich, and Berlin. We went to Sweden, Denmark, and Norway. So this was like about 3 weeks after I've landed back from the South by Southwest festival with Fekky in America. Got the call from gigs that, yeah, so when you say, oh, you want to come on the Europe Flexing Tour, it's the same thing again. Got to play it down like, yeah, that sounds good still. But obviously inside I'm gassed, like, rah, man's only just come back from America and now I'm off on tour for 16 days in Europe. This is crazy. So like, yeah. We met up for the tour in Hammersmith, right next to Hammersmith Apollo. There was 2 coaches, aka tour buses. Gigs was on one with his man them, like big up man like Chef Vess, big up Rudes, and a couple of man them were floating on and off. Big up Buck, the management team, Trent. And yeah, that was that bus. And then the second bus was the support acts, as we were called. So it was me, Dubplate, Mex. Who else did we have? Suspect and his manager Turner. We had Getz and his DJ Uni, and we had Toxic TV on there as well. Big up Toxic. Yeah, a few other men were floating on and off, meeting us in countries and whatnot. So yeah, let me describe the tour bus for everyone then. So you go up to the double doors at the side of the coach. Straight ahead's the toilet. I got to tell you the rules as well. No one was allowed to shit in the toilet. That was a no-go. No number 2s in the toilet. Just strictly piss. You had to wait till you got to a hotel or to the show where they had toilet facilities and that. So that was a no-go. To the right, as you've gone in, so to the left there's stairs upstairs, stairs to go upstairs, but we'll get there. But to your right, it was on the right-hand side, the kitchen. So you had like the sink and then the fridge underneath the tabletop and whatnot. And then over on the left, you had like a kind of dining table with chairs and that. Then you had another sofa, leather sofa, and it had a TV on the wall. And that was like, the TV was mounted behind the driver's door. So say if you're looking straight ahead now, at the front where the driver would be, like he's got a door there, that's where the TV was mounted. And as I said, that was the driver, Steve. So you go upstairs, and straight away to your left, that was where my room was. I was sharing the room with Dubplate Mex, Getz, and his DJ Uni, and then the sound engineers. We had the sound guys in with us. The beds, we called them the coffin. It's funny because it was like probably like 6 foot by, I don't know, I'm not good with foot, but if anyone's looking on the camera, it's about that wide. I would say about, I don't know, 3 foot wide. And then it had curtains that you could draw for your privacy. So once you drew the curtains, it was just dark in there. The ceiling was only like just above, like if you sat up too straight, you'd bang your head. So we used to call it the coffin. But it was nice. It was peaceful in there. Sometimes to get away, you just close the curtains, switch on your light. I'd have my laptop in there and that, watch a little movie and whatnot. Yeah, it was a little getaway space. But yeah, so if you'd come up the stairs, as I said, to the left was our rooms. To the right was the rest of the crew members and the mandem's room and that. And if you went straight through their room, they had the same sort of chamber as us. It was bunk beds. I didn't explain that as well. It's bunk beds in there. So you go through past stairs, and above the driver, that was the front room. We had a like TV mounted on the wall as well, little PlayStation and a banging set. That was the main thing for that tour. We was just pumping music. We hardly watched any movies or played any PlayStation. It was just straight banging out music. So that was the layout of the tour bus. So I'll get to the first little crazy story we had. As I said, the bus driver, his name was Steve. He was safe. Me and Mex used to always chat to him in the morning, see if he's all right and that, because he's the guy that's got your life at hands. After a few weeks, he got pissed off because we'd stopped in Amsterdam and got a hell of weed. So he started saying, lads, like the smoke is drifting down from the front room into my cabin. And at night time, I'm feeling drowsy. So you don't want me to crash because your life's at hands. And I'm like, yeah, we're already fucking sleeping in a coffin. So we're halfway there already. So we're like, you know what, we got to allow it. But you know how man them get, you allow it at first. And then after a few days, it's one zoot. Then next thing, it's just smoked out again. So he's give us a warning. We was in, I think, Denmark, and we had to go to Sweden, but they're not connected by land. You have to go over a ferry. So we've got to get through a what are they called? A checkpoint, basically. So he's warned us. He said, listen, we've got a checkpoint in ... miles, maybe 100 miles or something, 200 miles. But he gave us a good heads up. He's like, if we get to that checkpoint and you start smoking like that, this bus is getting ripped apart. So we all come to an agreement. We'll just smoke all that weed we've got by the time we get to the border. So I'm smoking, but I've got smoked out. The room's smoked out. My throat's dry as it is now. And I couldn't smoke all my weed. So I was like, do you know what? I'm just going to hide it and just pray for the best. As long as we've aired out the bus long enough before the border, they shouldn't really come upstairs. The most they do is ask for the passports at the door. So when we got near the border, because I was giving them man a check, I was on Google, so I was seeing that, right, 30 miles to go, 15 to go. So by about 30 miles to go, I think they stopped, or 20 miles to go, they stopped smoking. When I've gone up there with like 2-3 miles to go, we can see through the big glass window at the front, we're at the port. The guy in the high-vis has waved us over. He's like, pull over, pull over. So everyone's just darted into their bedroom. So I'm thinking they're like me. They've obviously got weed still that they haven't smoked. No one could smoke all their weed, and they didn't want to throw it away. But when I've looked on the side, I'm the last man in the front room. There's a big pile of weed on there, like a good 3 grams or something at least. So I'm like, I haven't got time to wrap it properly to stop the smell. I don't want that. If they call me down for my passport, I'm going to stink of weed. What I've got, I've wrapped it properly where you're not going to smell it. So I was just like, I just gobbled it down, man, ate the weed, ran to the coffin, we was all pretending we're sleeping. Then the driver's gone, yeah, they need the passports. And we was all just passing them down the stairs, not really going down. And we got away with that one. So that was a lucky little saga that we went through. Second story I'm going to go to, then I'm going to wrap it up, is happened in, I can't remember what country. I've racked my brain. I should have asked Gets or Uni what country this happened on before I done the podcast. But backstory, we used to, certain times, say we went to Amsterdam for a show, sometimes we would stay there at the night in the hotel, or sometimes we wouldn't. We'd just drive straight from Amsterdam to another country. So we'd fall asleep in Holland, wake up in the next country, Belgium or wherever. So this night, it was a stay overnight, but we didn't take our bags, and I can't remember why either, because we used to take out our bags before the show, go to the hotel, shower and shit. As I said, we can't shit on the tour bus, so that was your time to shit. So that night, we went to an after party, and we still had our bags in the tour bus. So after the after party, we've grabbed our bags and we've missed the bus with everyone. Not the bus, we missed the boat, basically, with everyone jumping in taxis together, sharing that 6 man in space cruisers. So it ended up me, Gets, and Uni. So we've got our suitcases, we've held down a taxi, took it to the hotel. So on the way to the hotel, I'm sitting in the front. We've got Gets and Uni in the back. Driving along, it was a bit silent in the taxi. Suddenly we've heard... Pardon me, or sorry, I think he said sorry, it was Uni, he's farted in the back of the cab, but he started laughing about it. So the cab man just pulled over angry, like, hey, what? Like, he couldn't even speak English, but I know he's probably saying, what the fuck, like, get out. So I'm saying to him, boss man, like, allow it, please, like, just drive. He's sorry. He said sorry, yeah, because he did fart and go, oops, sorry. like, you know, in the UK how we do, especially when you're with your man, them comfortable and that. So he's carried on driving, and then in the back, one of the man them, I don't know if it was Gets or Uni to this day, they've pulled out their phone to film on their Insta story, because our Insta stories were just pure joke during that whole tour. I was actually watching the man them I'm staying on the bus with story, because when they go off and doing their own thing, funny things happen backstage. Like I said, why I want to do this podcast, because there's stuff that happens that don't get seen on the stage. So he's gone to film whichever one of them on their Insta story, but the lights come on, the flash at the same time. So the man's realised what's happened. They've started smirking or giggling about it, you know, like, and I couldn't hold it in, so I've started laughing. So the cabman's just handbrake skidded, donutted. He was actually facing diagonal into the pavement. He didn't even park up to get us out. He just parked up anyhow. He was like, get out, get out. But we had our suitcases in the back. So I was like, I'm not getting out. I was saying to the man, them, hey, get out quickly. Get our suitcases out the back, because if we step out this car, he's going to drive off with our bag. I can tell the anger he's got right now. So they've got the suitcases out. As soon as I've put one foot out of the taxi, he's skidding off to try and tear away. But yeah, we got away with that one, and that was like a crazy, funny moment, as I said, during the tour. But there's hell more to come. So I'm going to wrap it up there. I don't want to go on too long. This was just a quick introduction, as I said, on how the podcast is going to be. A little bit of banter and then a little bit of Dex, aka music talk and whatnot, what happens behind the scenes. And yeah, you get the drift. So don't forget to follow, like and share and subscribe, as they like to say. Also hit me up on Instagram at DJ Raker, and follow me on SoundCloud if you want to just listen. SoundCloud and Spotify. All the information will be under here on the screen right about now. So just hit me up. This was episode 1. As I said, got hella guests to come throughout the podcast. So keep it look out for episode 2. Peace.